Since starting Women Emerging, I have heard so many different things on the same theme, to be honest. If that's what leadership is, I don't want anything to do with it. I'm not a leader because I'm too short, too tall, too not swanky enough, not clever enough, not important enough, not powerful enough, whatever reason. I'm not a leader. I've heard to succeed, I have to be a leader the way men are leaders. And I've heard people saying, you know, all the leadership books, they're written by men. And the few ones that are written by women are usually about how to succeed in a man's world. And the more I've heard these things, and many more, from every corner of the world, we have it in common. The more I've heard them, the more I've become convinced that the world is in quite a mess, that things have to change, that things are not going to change, and they are sure as anything not going to change, because if we just have the same leaders, we need to sort of diversify we need a whole flood of new blood into leadership, and there is no more obvious, to my mind, or clear source of those leaders than women. Pretty well anywhere in the world. And it's led me to be absolutely convinced that we should try and find an approach to leadership that resonates with women and that works for women, so that they say, yes, I am a leader. And they say it with joy in their hearts because they're going to do it. An approach to leadership that resonates with women, brackets, and quite a lot of men, it has to be said too, because there is such a thing. And all the logic leads me to then a slightly crazy idea, which is that we launch an expedition. An expedition not to find the North Pole, an expedition to find the approach to leadership that resonates for women. And that's what certainly I have devoted the next 2 years of my working life to, and to lead that expedition. And the truth is, it's about to start. We set off in May, and the devotion to the tasks begins today, and I so want you to be part of it. The expedition will have 20 women on it, 20 women from all over the world. They're all doing real jobs most of the time, but they will make time out over the next 7 months to do a virtual expedition and go and find the approach to leadership that resonates for women, because it's out there. It exists. There are women doing it everywhere. We have to capture it, find it, capture it, express it, share it, adopt it. So it's 7 months, and the finale of the 7 months will be in January 2023, when all the 20 women and I and a few others will get together and bring everything that we've learnt in the previous 7 months together, and then publish. We'll publish, what will we publish? We'll publish books, we'll publish music, we'll publish learning materials, we'll publish everything. We'll find every single source and way of spreading the message of this approach. The two methods that I love the most so far, but there are more to come. One is a young woman who's on the expedition, who's a musician. And she, at the end of it, won't write down like boring people like I will. She won't write down the approach to leadership that resonates for women. She'll turn it into a piece of music. And then, because she's a remarkable violinist, she'll then play it in lots and lots of the gathering places of the world where there are lots of men and a shortage of women. So she'll express this approach in music. And then there's a young woman called Hilla, whom I love dearly, and she is going to spend the middle of 2023 at the beginning working with me to turn this approach to leadership that resonates for women into an online program that is specifically targeted at the millions of young women all over the world who are environmental activists, because as we know, most environmental activists are women. So a leadership program for them. But there are so many other ideas that are emerging that are completely fabulous to get the message out, the result of the expedition. So at the heart of the expedition, there are 20 members, women from all over the world. How are they chosen? They're a mixture of ages, they're a mixture of backgrounds, and they're a mixture of geographies. One of the conditions is that they're all women who haven't already made their minds up, and they're only going on the expedition to prove they were always right. They've got to have an open mind. They've got to be prepared to listen and go out and find this approach, and use their experience to ask the right questions, but to find it and to open their minds to it. And then the other condition is that every woman who's on the expedition has to speak at least 2 languages. I deeply believe that if you speak more than one language, your brain is wired in a slightly different way. But also, it means we can reach out to women all over the world, and both during the expedition and also we can all do our TED Talks in different languages about this approach to leadership that resonates for women. And then, apart from the members of the expedition, there's a whole group of women who are powerful leaders all around the world who've said that they'll be guides. And that means that they'll open their doors and their ideas and their thoughts and their honesty to the members and have conversations with the members as they go on this virtual expedition. And then the even bigger group is the partners. And the partners of the expedition are everywhere, and almost certainly you. They're people who are following the progress of the members. They're following the progress because each week they can pick up the podcast, because there'll be an expedition podcast which will keep you all up to date. And then hopefully you'll give us your thoughts and throw them at us and send me emails. Even better, I'm dyslexic, so send me emails, but even better, send me online messages so that I can listen to them and possibly put them in, almost certainly put lots into the podcast. With your thoughts. If you're going there, think about this. If you're thinking that, think about this as well. Giving us your thoughts and ideas, because the more women you involve in this, the more powerful it would be. What does success look like for the expedition? Success, firstly, is that we do produce an approach to leadership that resonates for women. The truth of it is, I think of it almost as it'll be a sort of prism. I'm quite sure that we won't end up with 20 different versions of the approach. I'm quite sure that there will be a sort of prism that will capture. And then each of the women from in different parts of the world will bring their particular and look at the prism in slightly different ways. And that's the power of it. I don't think there's one answer to leadership. I think there are some very common bits, and then there are lots of different ways of looking at it. To me, how I lead is as unique to me as my DNA, and how you lead is as unique to you as your DNA. But there are some common elements. Let's try and capture them. And the outcome of having captured them and the outcome of having spread the message, I hope and dream and believe, and I'm deeply committed that more women all over the world will say, if that's what leadership is, count me in. If I've tempted you to become a partner in the expedition, I'm utterly delighted. So what next? First, track our progress by subscribing to the Expedition podcast. Second, join the private Women Emerging LinkedIn group and tell us your thinking on an approach to leadership that resonates with women. Thank you.